Hey YouTube, Lucky here from the lab, and today I'm going to go over my exact Sunbreaker class loadout that I use for doing carries and for doing 1 vs 3s in the Trials of Osiris. Now what I want to do in this is I want to break down not just the perks I use in my subclass, but all the armor and the artifacts and everything that I use. All the perks are specified to be the maximum potential for the Sunbreaker. So I'm going to go over everything, make sure you take close note, and if you have any questions, make sure to post a comment down below. Here we go. First thing, we go over the grenade. Now, the fusion grenade is for sure the most powerful grenade on the Sunbreaker. Thermite grenade is terrible. It takes like 3 or 4 hits to get a kill on someone. This is not going to do you well in the Trials of Osiris. Incendiary grenade is pretty good, but if people see you using it, or if people are using Memory of Silumar artifact, they're not going to be one hit by this. It's kind of disappointing, and so fusion grenades are the best for this subclass, although I do kind of hate fusion grenades. I never used them beforehand, but using them now I realize they're incredibly powerful in this meta, so you kind of have to use them if you're going to use a Sunbreaker, at least if you're going to try and use it effectively. Alright, next we go over the jump. There's only one jump you want to use on any Titan, and that's control. This jump allows you to continue your momentum. This makes you be able to Titan skate. It's really important to use increased control on your Titan. Now moving over to the next slot, this is where I see a few people trying to mix things up a little bit. Let me make something very clear for you. It is almost absolutely essential to use Sun Charge. Forge Master might feel really good, you can throw some more hammers, because when you throw a hammer with Forge Master, you use less super energy. Fun fact, you don't actually gain any more time on your hammer when you use Forge Master. You do, however, use less super energy per each hammer thrown, making it last longer. Now, Sun Charge is so important though, because I can't even begin to explain to you how many amazing Sun Charge plays I can make with this. You can kill Blade Dancers, you can kill all kinds of supers, you can be evasive. It's like an Ionic Blink in some ways if you ever use Stormcaller. Sun Charge is essential to using hammers. You just have to use it. It's really important. If you're not very good with it at first, just keep using it, take your time, and it's basically like using a Blade Dancer in a lot of ways, so shouldn't be too hard to figure out if you give it some time. The next one is my melee. Now I go back and forth on this for a few different reasons. Thermal Vent is the one I stick to a little bit more. It does a little bit more damage than Melting Point, but what Melting Point does is amazing in a lot of ways, because if an enemy self-reses and you melee them with Melting Point, you can do a ton of damage afterwards. Melting Point is an absolute destruction melee for self-reses, and it can help you with a few other supers here and there. It can help with your team. If an enemy Blade Dancer comes at you and you hit him with this Melting Point melee, your teammates should be able to finish him off pretty easily afterwards, and things like that. For the most part, I use Thermal Vent though, because it does a little more damage overall, and it's a lot of fun launching people across the map sometimes. It really throws people off, and Thermal Vent is really great for the launching of people. So I always stick with Thermal Vent, unless I see the enemies are running 1 or 2 self-reses. I'll go to Melting Point. Now the next piece is I use Titan Codex 1. Pretty standard. If you're not trying to do a tournament or anything, you should run max armor on your Titan. It's by far the most powerful attribute of the Titan, is the fact that he has so much armor. He has the highest armor of any class in the game, meaning he can't get 2-tapped by a Luck in the Chamber Palindrome, can't get 2-tapped by a Luck in the Chamber IS Luna. That is amazing. That is a powerful attribute, not one that you want to just give up easily, unless of course you're doing a tournament. You should give that up. Obviously you have to, or you're practicing for a tournament. But if you're doing Trials of Osiris, you're not in a tournament, all rules are allowed. Use max armor on your Titan. It's going to be best for you. Next part we go over is what perk do we add to our hammer. Your Hammer of Soul will alter its flight, and basically this adds tracking to your hammer. You can use the gauntlets, which I believe add either Explosive Fire or Flame Seeker, but you really don't want to use those gauntlets. You really just want to leave Flame Seeker on your hammer. Trust me, I've used a variety of different perks here, and Flame Seeker is for sure the best. The throwing of the hammers isn't the best because there's a big wind up, and it's kind of really delayed, and it can be really lame, but sometimes Sun Charge isn't going to do you any good if they're really far away when you pop your hammer, and you have to throw the hammers. You have to get good at trying to aim these hammers at them, and it just happens sometimes. And it's hard to hit them. It's hard enough to hit them because of the delay of the throw on the hammer, so at least add the tracking to that, so that way you can get them. And Explosive Fire doesn't really matter much, because when you Sun Charge someone, they actually does give you an sort of Explosive Fire at the end, and so you just won't get Explosive Fire from the thrown hammers. And so Flame Seeker is also another standard. There's not too much variation on the hammer. I'm always very fair when I say like, hey, this is also really good, things like that. But really on the hammer, there's only one variation, and that's the melee, which is between the Melting Point and the thermal vent. But other than that, there's really not much variation which you should use for trials purposes. Alright, I got Titan Codex 4, that way this is maximized my armor, brings my agility down extremely low, and with the low agility you can Titan Skate, have a little bit more speed in your Titan Skate. And then the last one is Cauterize, really important. You gotta use Cauterize. This makes it so when you get a Sun Charge kill, you get health regeneration, a Hammer Thrown kill, health regeneration, a Sticky kill, health regeneration, and a melee kill, health regeneration. This is a lot of health regeneration. You're getting a lot. When you use any ability you have, you're getting health regeneration. It's awesome. Alright? Cauterize is an absolute essential. I wouldn't use any of these. I know maybe some people like sunspots, things like that. Don't use that. Don't use that stuff. Not for trials. For trials, this is for sure the go-to hammer setup. I've tried all the different variations. I've been using hammer for months now. I've been using hammer since they first came out in year 2, and it was obviously a lot different back then. You can see the setup videos we have from how to use hammers back then, and a lot has changed since then, but this is the go-to year 3 current meta Sunbreaker setup. Now let's go on to my armor real quick before I end all of this. Go over my loadout is going to be 551 or 552 if you can get that, but you don't want to add any, you don't want to give up any strength, and you definitely don't want to give up any intellect. Your super is one of your strongest attributes, and those grenades are going to be devastating. There's only one exotic armor piece that's worth using, and that's Armamentarium. Unfortunately, that gives you double sticks, which is what a lot of people don't like in the game right now, unfortunately. But it is the most powerful exotic to use, and there are those gauntlets that add pyre or tracking, but don't even use those. It's a waste of time. Really, double sticky grenades is a lot better. There's no other exotic worth using on the hammer other than Armamentarium in the current meta status. As for artifacts, you can use whatever you like. I go back and forth between these 3. I use Jolder for running, I use Silmar, and I use Galleon. I mostly stick with Galleon because I'm playing a lot of Scout sidearm game, and Scout with the Galleon is really, really nice. If you haven't used that much yet, try it out. You'll really like it. You can stay, aim down sights, kind of navigate through the map, and land those quick headshots on people when you catch them off guard. And so I'm really loving the Galleon with the Scout, and I just keep on me at any time. I'll just smash that real quick. I just keep on me intellect discipline, discipline strength, intellect strength, so that way, you know, if I switch out an armor piece, I can mix things up. And the last part I'll go over is the most important part, which is you need throw distance on your gauntlets. If you don't like fusion grenades, if you don't think that you can land them on people, if you're having a hard time using fusion grenades, this throw distance is massive, okay? This is the perk to use. This will make it a lot easier to land those sticky grenades. If you throw the grenades farther, they also in turn go faster, and so they tend to grab better, and they tend to land on people from farther ranges. And so the throw distance is crucial for the Hammer Titan. You know, everything else is pretty standard. I use Ashes to Assets for the grenade kills. I really like that perk, obviously, if you're going to get a lot of sticks. Infusion is a pretty standard helmet perk. Hand cannon reload speed because I'm using IS Luna a lot of times, but you know, Scout reload speed would be nice with throw distance. Armamentarium, definitely make sure you have solar armor, maximize your armor build, and these Vault of Glass boots are pretty dope as well. Just going through a quick breeze through, and again, if you have any questions, go ahead and ask me. I'll answer any and all of your questions in the comments, and if I don't see them, you can bring them to our Twitch channel where we're live. I can usually read almost all the comments in the chat sometimes, and you should be able to get your question answered there. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and have a good night. Stay saucy.